For a moment, I thought we were one gong away from another Undertaker entrance, but it turns out the screen was black because Paul Heyman needs 10 minutes to get his fat ass down to the ring. Welcome back, guys, to your Raw review. This show was not good. To be honest, I wouldn't have complained if the screen had stayed black for 3 hours, but that wasn't the case. The show eventually did start, and we started the first Raw of 2022 with none other than Paul Heyman. And I can't remember the last time I've been so disappointed with wrestling, just more due to the fact that I don't give a shit. I've accepted wrestling shit now. I totally get that. I accept that. But one thing I have been enjoying in wrestling as of late is Brock Lesnar being on his own. Brock Lesnar actually having words and time on the mic and using his own. Seeing Brock Lesnar's personality shine through on TV rather than what we got basically ever since he defeated The Undertaker, which was him kind of standing there jogging on the spot while Paul Heyman repeats the same rhetoric time and time again. I didn't want to see that. I was enjoying the new Brock, but by God, we start off, I see Paul Heyman there. He uses his old catchphrases, the same quotes from before. You're reigning, defending, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I've never been so gutted in ages with wrestling. Brock Lesnar came out. As much as I don't want this, I do not want these two to team up again. I do not want this couple to be reunited. But while saying that, this actually wasn't a bad promo. Once Brock Lesnar came out, he got the steel steps. I was wondering what he was doing with them. It looked a wee bit awkward at the start. Then he placed them into the ring. He climbed the steel steps. He put his belt up in the air and he said, "Acknowledge me." So we're even getting like a comedy Brock Lesnar at the moment. He's even showing funny sides that like I said, that we didn't even see for like 5 or 6 years when he was with Heyman. He went on to thank Heyman for being his advocate and getting him the free agency, which allows him to compete on both shows, pulling the strings to get him into the title match. He then passed the mic on to Heyman, and Heyman basically cut through everybody that was in the Fatal 5-Way. He cut through Roman Reigns. He says that as soon as he left the Tribal Chief as a special counsellor, Reigns got COVID. He made a fucking criticise Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens said something about Seth Rollins' wife is going to leave him for Brock Lesnar because he can't beat Brock Lesnar. Said he was going to talk about MVP, but then he says nobody talks about MVP. Then he just moved on, kind of buried MVP. Called Owens a jackal and a Seth Rollins, I believe. Actually put Bobby Lashley over. He spoke about how Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar haven't met until last night. They've never met, they've never passed each other, they've never shaked hands. And then he went on to mention on the 3 occasions that they did meet last night, it was Bobby Lashley spearing him through the barricade, Bobby Lashley spearing him in the ring, and Bobby Lashley applying the Hurt Lock to Brock Lesnar. He even went as far as saying he had the Hurt Lock on in Brock Lesnar and he didn't think Brock Lesnar was going to get out of it. But then he went on to say it'll be different if they meet one-on-one at the Rumble. And he called Bobby Lashley the almighty Lesnar wannabe. So he buries him, and then finally he gets on to Big E. And he just basically said Big E would have been champ if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar being in that match. I totally disagree, because surely if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar being in that match, Lashley would have won based on how dominant he was. And I mean, that was pretty much it. The Fatal 4-Way tonight will decide who challenges Brock Lesnar. Heyman and Lesnar left. Again, I'm not happy they're being reunited, but I'm not going to say this was terrible just because they are reunited and it's not what I want. It was a decent start to the show, regardless of how I personally feel about these two being teamed up with each other again. Up next with RK Bro versus the Alpha Academy. They had a wee skip backstage. Orton says that they get up when Riddle listens to him, they do things work better. They're more successful, and then they go out and lose to the Alpha Academy. To me, this just makes no sense when RK Bro beat both members of the Alpha Academy in single matches last week, and now all of a sudden they just lose, and we're supposed to take the Alpha Academy as a real threat. Last week, the RKO had never been hit on Otis, but then Orton hit it on Otis to beat him last week. But now the Alpha Academy beat RK Bro. So what was the point of last week? Why not just have this match tonight, and then all of a sudden Alpha Academy are on a roll? They didn't lose last week, and Otis has still never been hit by the RKO, but for them to kind of bury Alpha Academy last week just to put them over tonight, I mean, you can talk about 50-50 booking, but I mean, this does nothing for nobody. Anyway, it wasn't great. Speaking of not being great, up next with Reggie and Brooke versus Tosawa and Tamina. Why is Dana Brooke, why is she on TV, never mind with a championship belt? That makes no sense to me. She didn't even get tagged in this match. Tosawa accidentally kicked Tamina in the face. She slapped him. Reggie hit his finisher and he won the match. And Dana Brooke walks to the back and retains the belt. This 24/7 title shit is some of the worst stuff I think we've ever seen on WWE TV. Next, we had Becky Lynch come out. She said she's still the champion. Liv Morgan came out and interrupted her, wanted another match. Becky Lynch says to Liv Morgan, you came up a little bit short. I think it was actually Becky Lynch that came up short because her feet were short of touching the ropes to use leverage. So I do feel like the ending of their day one match kind of buried them here, because I'm pretty sure Becky Lynch was supposed to cheat again with her feet on the ropes, but she didn't get her feet on the ropes, so she ended up beating Liv Morgan clean, which kind of makes Liv Morgan wanting another rematch a wee bit pathetic now, because she's been beat time and time again. Bianca Belair came out, says that Liv Morgan's basically at the back of the line now, and that Bianca Belair deserves another shot. Becky says they can decide it between them. Beat, sleep, repeat. Yeah, so that's her. Everything Becky Lynch does, she's always like copying something or like stealing something and making it into her own. And I guess you could argue a lot of people do that, but with Becky Lynch, it seems to be everything. Catchphrases. There's just nothing really original about her. I don't know, not a massive Becky Lynch fan. They end up brawling. Becky Lynch stands tall. Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan are left out. I think they're probably going to have a match next week to decide who faces Becky Lynch at the Rumble. Up next, we had Carmella and Selena versus Ripley and Nikki Ash. What is the point of this? Carmella never got in the ring. This was essentially a 2-on-1 match. Nikki Ash got rolled up by Selena. Just end this shit now. End it now. Absolutely atrocious. And up next with the Street Profits versus Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. I don't even think Apollo Crews has won a match since he lost the belt. Again, pointless. I don't get it. They did a Nigerian gimmick. They give him a big guy, yet he can't win. He was more successful without this big guy. So what's the point of bringing the fucking big guy in? Oh, I've got backup, but you're going to lose every match since you get backup. Well, if that's what backup does for you, then why would you want it? You know, it doesn't make any sense. I thought maybe they could go somewhere now that AJ and Omos is kind of out. But then again, if you look at the Alpha Academy, they've kind of got the smaller guy, Gable, with the bigger guy, Otis. So maybe there's just too many small, big guy combinations on Raw. But Street Profits win. It doesn't really seem to matter. Yeah, they win matches, but when it comes to the big ones, the title ones, they don't seem to win them. Waste of time here. Win for the Street Profits. Who cares? Up next with Dolph Ziggler and Damian Priest, United States title match. If Priest gets DQ'd, he loses his title. And he was never getting DQ'd, because that would mean Dolph Ziggler would need to win a belt, and that's never happening. Dolph Ziggler, arguably one of I think, the biggest channel changer in WWE. Now, I'm not saying he's the worst wrestler by any means, because he's not. He's not the worst mic worker of all time. He's not the worst at anything, but it's just been overdone, and time again we see this guy, and it never feels fresh. It always seems like the same old Dolph fucking Ziggler, and I just don't want to see it anymore. I mean, him and Bobby Roode, I'd rather fucking bash nails into my hands and stick myself on a cross than have to watch a Dolph Ziggler match. So I knew he wasn't going over. Damian Priest wins, ends up hitting Bobby Roode with the chair after Ziggler was pleading for Priest to hit him with the chair so Ziggler would win the title by DQ, but that didn't happen, and then he hits his finisher, beats him, and he didn't turn into full Damian mode in this match. So yeah, I mean, garbage. I cannot stand Dolph Ziggler. Let me know, guys, what you think. It's not that, like I said, it's not that he's bad by any means, but there's just something about the guy that absolutely bores me to tears, and I just do not want to see him on my TV screen ever again. And I mean, yeah, I don't think I'll ever enjoy anything Dolph Ziggler does. I don't know why. It's nothing personal. I just, time and time again, we've seen him. I can't remember the last time he was in something that felt fresh. At least like people like Kevin Owens, at least they sort of like rejuvenate their career from time to time. But with Dolph Ziggler, it's the same old fucking shit. Right, speaking of things that I don't want to see on my TV, up next, arguably one of the worst segments, not on this show, one of the worst, not this year either, by the way, because there's only been one show this year, arguably one of the worst segments I think you'll see in the wrestling business, and that's across every single company and brand. We have Doudrop busting into, I would call them GMs, but I mean, calling these two GMs is like really using that title loosely. But Doudrop barges in, demands a title shot, said she's sick and tired of seeing the same people challenge Becky Lynch for the belt. Well, you know what? I'm sick and tired of seeing this fat fuck on my TV screen. Get her away. I know she's Scottish and we're supposed to, on this channel, show some patriotism and support the fellow Scots, but Doudrop is terrible. I mean, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, again, another two channel changers, but when Doudrop walks in, she makes these two feel like Triple H and Stephanie. That's how pissed Doudrop is. She actually elevates these other two who are equally shite. Well, not equally shite, but they are shite. But Doudrop makes them feel like mega stars. So, I mean, Doudrop, add it to the match. Next week's will be a triple threat match. Doudrop versus Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair. Winner will move on to face Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. I imagine it's going to be. I imagine it's probably going to be Liv Morgan, and I think it will be Liv. I don't know, or maybe it'll be. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Up next, we've got Mr. McMahon. He puts Austin Theory in the Royal Rumble. It's sad to see McMahon. Well, it's sad for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's sad how bad McMahon looks and sounds. This guy is not aged well. And I don't know where this came from, because up until about 2010, he looked fucking good. Even when he had that feud with Punk, he looked good. Even in 2015, when he was doing the stuff with Roman Reigns and he got arrested, you could tell he'd aged a bit. But he didn't look terrible. But now, my God, he looks like he's on his deathbed. And he doesn't sound right either. He's very low. Now, I used to think it was like maybe the mics or the volumes, but it's almost as if he can't really speak loud. So I don't know if it's something to do with his, I don't know, voice box or whatever. But the guy, he can barely speak, and he does look like shite. He does. I think he needs some of the Clintons' baby blood, because at the moment McMahon isn't doing too good. He puts Austin Theory in the Royal Rumble match. I mean, it is what it is, but it's annoying to me that we have McMahon and he sucks. A, he sucks, and B, it's like, why is he only involved with Austin Theory? I know this current McMahon's crap, but still. If he's on the show, surely he should be the guy in charge, not Adam Pearce, not Sonya Deville. Should be Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but nah, it wasn't him. Up next with Maurice and The Miz. Actually cutting a pretty good promo. I think Maurice is underrated big time. I am a fan of Maurice. Miz basically saying he was screwed. He's trying to speak French, but he fails miserably. Maurice calls him out in that. Next minute, Edge comes up, says that he's not surprised that The Miz is taking this bad. He should have just taken his L. Eventually, Edge challenges The Miz and Maurice to a mixed tag match. The Miz accepts on behalf of both himself and his wife. Maurice doesn't seem happy with this. Beth Phoenix pretends to punch Maurice, and Maurice falls back, looking pretty shocked. Good facial expressions, good acting from Maurice. Leaves the ring, not happy with The Miz, trying to leave him behind, and The Miz runs up the ramp after her. Good, but I just don't like Beth Phoenix. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Never liked her on her original run. Never liked her as a commentator. And now she looks like a fucking weirdo. Why is she dressed like this? I mean, you look at one of these women and they're fucking beautiful, they're hot. And then you look at the other one, it's like, you know, like what the fuck? Halloween was like 2 months ago. What are you doing? But anyway, moving on with AJ versus Omos. AJ just pretty much jobs out to Omos. Didn't get much offense in. Was going for like the flying phenomenal forearm, gets chopped in midair, hits the mat. It was as if Omos' hand was a fly swatter and AJ was the fly. Just smacked in the chest and fucking dies onto the floor. Omos hits a slam and then hits a choke slam, and AJ sells it well. I mean, AJ made the finish look a lot better than it actually was. So good selling for AJ. Tried to make Almost look as, powerful and monstrous as possible, but I just don't see this Almost guy going anywhere. And hopefully, I mean, it's sad to see AJ lose like this or whatever. I don't think it does much for him, but hopefully now we can move on and just get away from this whole Almost feud, because it's been bad. Even before they were feuding, the tag team was equally as bad. To be fair, AJ hasn't been good in WWE for a good few years now. Ever since his SmackDown run came to an end, he's been really booked poorly. So hopefully now AJ can, I don't know, go in the right direction. But this whole Almost stuff certainly wasn't the right direction. Then we move on to the main event. It's Big E versus Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. The winner goes on to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And I mean, this match was good. It was long. It was a big, massive brawl at the start. You got Owens and Seth Rollins trying to take Big E and Lashley out of the equation. Lashley, again, another barricade spot. They try and bury him underneath the barricade. There was a bit of a shield powerbomb action on Big E through the table. Big E and Lashley get back up. They start brawling with Rollins and Owens. They brawl through the crowd. They brawl up the stairs. They brawl into the back. And this felt like this was the actual pay-per-view match, because I don't normally a match like this on Raw just wouldn't happen, where they leave the arena momentarily and they fight through the crowd. I mean, normally when they get that on Raw, so what I'm thinking is they kind of just basically copied the match that they were going to have originally at the Fatal 4-Way at day one, and then just put it into this main event. At least that's what it seemed like. Kevin Owens did a senton dive after I don't know, whatever you call it, from off the balcony or whatever. It was a pretty good manoeuvre. They fight their way back into the ring. Lashley's hitting a bunch of spears. Kevin Owens counters it, hits a super kick, goes for a stunner. Lashley pushes him off, counters it into a spear of his own, and picks up the win. Looked a bit shocked. I don't know why he's shocked. You could tell Bobby Lashley was winning this a mile away. And I am happy to see Lashley versus Lesnar. The only thing I will say is, I think this should have been saved for WrestleMania. I don't think... What's Lesnar going to do that's much bigger than a match against Lashley at Mania? So, pretty poor that this will be wasted on the Royal Rumble. I mean, people can have multiple matches. It's not like if you have a match with someone, you can't have a match at Mania, but what I have noticed, like, over the years, most of these multiple matches, the first one tends to happen at Mania, and then they have the rematches at, like, Backlash and Judgment Day, or, the next couple of pay-per-views. It's very rare that they have a match at the pay-per-view before Mania, and then go on to Mania to have the same match. I mean, it could end in disqualification, it could end in controversy, and maybe they could go on to have the rematch at WrestleMania, but the fact that they're booked for the Royal Rumble tells me that they've got different plans for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and I don't think these two will be seeing each other at WrestleMania, which kind of sucks. But here, I'm pretty sure the Royal Rumble match will be great. Looking forward to it. And then we end the show. Brock Lesnar, he's sitting watching Lashley win. We've got that wee Irish geek interviewer comes in. He's terrible. Remember, you used to have good Jonathan Coachman and Kevin Kelly, and even some of the ones after that, like Josh Matthews. People were good, and now these new ones are fucking absolutely terrible. He asked them, have you any comment? And Brock Lesnar comment, nothing even to do with Lashley. He says, yeah, tell Roman Reigns I'll see him this Friday night on SmackDown. And that's how Raw ends, guys. So there you go. That's what it is. It wasn't a great Raw by any means. I enjoyed the start, and the main event match was good. But the rest of the show, just uneventful. Especially, normally WWE does pick up a wee bit on the road to WrestleMania, but there was a lot of mediocre stuff on this Raw here. So even when McMahon's on Raw and it's shit, then that's when you kind of know wrestling's went to crap. Because how can McMahon just... I don't know, McMahon should be the best part of the show, and he just wasn't. He was just there. He was an afterthought. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10. I'll give it a 2 out of 10. I enjoyed the main event, and I thought the opening promo with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman was pretty good as well, but the rest of the show wasn't good. It sucked big time. Anyway, guys, that's it. 2 out of 10. Let us know what you think down below. What was your opinion on this Monday Night Raw? And are you looking forward to Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Some may consider this match to be Brock Lesnar versus the Black Brock Lesnar. Nah, I think that's a pretty good description. Or what about Bobby Lashley versus the White Bobby Lashley? Either way, it's going to be two absolute killers going for the belt at the Royal Rumble, and I can't wait. Till next time, 2 out of 10. Peace.